is absolutely wild as Vern Gagne's All-Star Wrestling goes coast to coast and continent to continent. The greatest wrestlers in the world.
He may be an apprentice carpenter, but I guarantee you he is a seasoned ring veteran.
I've been hit with bar stools, bar rags, barmaids.
I'm talking to you.
They're scared that Hulkamania's still running wild. Oh, yeah. I got a big fat wife and 9 kids at home, and I gotta feed them.
And take a look at Jesse the Body in real life.
Open your hand once if you would.
You want to see it?
This is absolutely unbelievable. Totally, completely out of control.
He's coming in over the top. Hey! Look out!
Hello, everybody. Welcome in to the #1 preeminent podcast and video stream dedicated to the American Wrestling Association. We are AWA, and we are Unleashed. And if you don't believe me, ask Slick Mick. You don't believe him, ask Polish Joe.
That would assume that either of us have credibility, but you know.
Yeah, and yep.
Oh my God.
Hey,
I can't even set up the line now. Thanks, Joe.
Oh, of course you can. I set it up perfect. I laid that in there for you.
You did. It's too early to be setting those up for me. We were talking before the show, and I came up with a pretty good line by myself, mind you.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have other people feeding me, which sometimes I do. No, I don't. But I came up with a really good line. I was really proud of it, and now I don't even know how I can use it because I kind of forgot. Once Joe said it, I'm like, how am I going to use it? But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Hey, go ahead.
You know what? This is a wrestling podcast. People are going to forget very, very quickly everything that was said. So you can use it. Just put it in your back pocket, next to that 15-pound wallet of yours. And, you use it another time.
It's not like the George Costanza wallet where it's like, you got to squeeze. See, I don't even have my wallet on me. Yeah. I don't have any money, so there's no point in carrying a wallet.
Hey, I got checks. It must mean I have money in the bank.
Hey, there you go. There you go. For those that I just realized, our intro, for those that are Pinfall members, a lot of the clips that are in our intro were in our last watch along, which was about interviews and promos, which there were some of the best in the history of the AWA were in that. And check it out because it was a lot of fun. I was just watching the intro and I'm like, I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. I remember that. So thank you to Polish Joe. Pinfall members. By the way, we do have a couple of things that we do have coming up. Joe, you were just out of town. You set up an interview and a photo shoot and a video shoot with someone who I am very excited is going to eventually be on.
Yeah, I was out in New York for a couple of days this week. Brought out there by Think Signatures, Nick Christie, and had a great couple of days working with somebody who I worked with previously at Super Clash 3. He managed the stud stable. I'm talking about none other than Downtown Bruno. He has agreed. He is excited to come on and do our podcast. So we just have to get him into the schedule and should be good to go.
I'm excited for Downtown Bruno. When you said that, you kind of like, oh, and those that don't know it's also Harvey Whippleman as well. So it's same. I've heard nothing but good things. So I'm looking forward to Downtown Bruno. And you mentioned Super Clash 3. I think we'll probably put that under a regular AWA one. But we do have a lot of really cool things coming up. If you're a Pinfall member and you have not received a template to be a Ringsider of the Week, let me know at chris.sportscaster@gmail.com. And if you're a Pinfall member, haven't received your letter and pictures, Mick, I've got some addresses for you. chris.sportscaster@gmail.com. That's my personal one for Pinfall members. All right. today, a couple of weeks ago, we did a show that was about the best wrestlers to never be awarded. I think that's the fair way to say it, right? Not be awarded because you're not winning anything,
Right?
Because you're chosen.
You're chosen.
It's you didn't legitimately win it, but you're awarded a title. And we did the world title, and now today we're going to do the tag titles. But before we get started, I want to ask you guys a question. The promoters, when they give somebody a world title, that meant they had confidence in how they could elevate the world title and make them money. Did they feel the same way about the tag titles? Do you guys know? Do you guys think?
I think they probably did. I don't know that the tag team titles, in the scheme of things, carry the weight of a singles championship. I mean, in terms of drawing a spotlight to the promotion, certainly the tag team titles are real important. You can kind of mix and match a little bit with tag teams to get the combination that you want and that you think is going to put butts in the seats. The singles champion is a little bit tougher. He's got to have all the qualities. Yeah. Bottom line, is this guy going to draw money? And so I think, yeah, the tag teams are important, but I don't know they have the luster of the singles championship, and especially in this day and age. My God, with all the
tag titles mean nothing in today's day and age.
Nothing. U.S. Intercontinental, boom, and it's just like, yeah, okay. But this was what was interesting about this one, guys, and we talked about this before we came on the air. I don't know if I didn't make myself clear this time when I said, give me your top 5 tag teams that should have been world tag team champions, but weren't. And I got a lot of mix and match tag teams, that never even teamed together.
Do you think maybe people were thinking, okay, give me the top 5 teams that you think should have been teamed, or top 5 combinations?
I don't know what the thought process was, but some of them were in there. I was like, these guys never teamed up in the AWA. So these were bona fide tag teams. And I will say there was no real clear-cut winner in terms of number of votes. There was some that did better than others, but this was kind of all over the place. And it went over all eras too, which going back to the 60s and the 70s, up to and including the 80s, and even the 90s with one of the tag teams that was in the AWA. But interesting combinations. We're going to look at it from the number 10 down to number 1, and then we'll give you our insignificant who cares picks of our own. And it's fun. Good mix and match here.
So before we get into it, I'm curious about some of those non-tag team pairings. Can you remember a couple of examples of who people submitted?
I would say that even if let me put it to you this way, the non-tag teams may have teamed up once, maybe twice, but they were not a bona fide regular tag team. And the one that comes to mind right off the top is Crusher and Wahoo. Crusher and Wahoo teamed up, but they were not. You don't think of Crusher and Wahoo as tag teams in the AWA. There was a couple of Superstar Billy Graham with so-and-so. Somebody said Superstar Billy Graham and Jesse Ventura. No, couldn't happen. So maybe next time I'll make the
Vern Gagne. How about Vern Gagne and Kurt Hennig?
No, that did not make the list. But
Greg Gagne and Larry Hennig. Got it.
That was the kind of thing that happened. Not often, thank goodness. The teams that made the top 10 were bona fide tag teams and had a history here in the AWA, some longer than others. But again, what I liked about it was it really went old school in a lot of ways, back decades all the way up to one particular tag team in the 1990s.
Yeah, I think I picked one of those sparsely tagged teams in my top 5 list, and I'll explain it when we get to it. But not a lot. But they did tag. It wasn't hold on, they never wrestled together, but they didn't wrestle often as tag team partners. That I'll say.
And what I got to say too, Joe and Chris, is that if you're a longtime fan of the AWA, the tag teams that got votes really kindled some memories. And if you didn't go back that far in the AWA, you don't know what you're missing. When wrestling was wrestling and it wasn't all the glitz, hard-nosed, dedicated tag teams. So here we go.
One final thing before we get into it. Sorry, Chris. When we do, when you ask us for any type of lists moving forward, Mick, we've got a group chat that Mick, Chris, and I do. I'm going to say, have us send it to you individually rather than in the group text, because when I did my list, I had already seen Chris's, and
it's hard to not have some bias in that.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting there going, okay, I want to try to find something that is different than what Chris did. So just moving forward, if we do that, I think that'll give us fresher approach.
No. I absolutely get.
And that's my fault. When I'm talking shit about you, I normally talk to Mick in our own little person.
Yeah, not a big deal. It's not like we're going to lose the tag team straps over it.
6-man tag.
Yeah.
Now we can go.
All right, let's see what happens here. This is now again reverse order. So the number 10 vote-getting tag team, according to the listeners/viewers, there's one of that tag team, and I'm going to use this name that he mix and match with this guy too. That is Larry Heineme, aka Luscious Lars Anderson, and I believe when he teamed up with this other gentleman, he was using Larry Heineme. So let's get that other guy up there if we can, Chris.
There it is.
And there's his tag team partner, beautiful Buddy Wolf, Les Wolf, and I've maintained one of the most underrated guys in the history of the AWA or wrestling in general. But Larry Heineme and Buddy Wolf, beautiful Buddy, who at one time was married to Vivian Vachon. They were a top tag team in the AWA in the mid-1970s, early 70s. Both went to St. Cloud State University. And sadly, we lost Buddy Wolf a couple of years ago. Larry Heineme, Lars Anderson just turned 90, I believe. Wow. So it is, it's really something. But they were the number 10 vote getters, and they were heat back in the day. This is our number 9 tag team.
Speaking of heat.
Yeah. I was very surprised that this combination did not get more votes than they did. And it may be, guys, and let me get your take on it, that they weren't necessarily recognized as an AWA tag team.
Yes, I was thinking about putting them on. If I could have, I would have put them in my top 5 without question, because I don't think of the Freebirds as an AWA team. So that's why I left them off. But I mean, legendary.
And they did have their tenure in the AWA. It wasn't a long one, but they appeared on some of the big showcase cards. But yeah, I think typically people look at that as a world-class tag team, an NWA tag team, not so much the AWA, but enough people did to put them number 9 on the list.
So which 2 of the 3 is the question that I have?
It's the old wrestling angle. You never knew which Freebirds were going to be representing the tag team on any given night. They stumped the promoters. They held them over a barrel, and by God, at the last minute, they stuck somebody in there to make the.
That's why you always heard, it's the Freebird rule.
There you go. That's exactly right. Yep.
God,
Bad Street, USA.
Yeah, baddest streets in the whole USA.
And the whole, yep. The further down the block you got, the badder it got. Like the Chupik residents, for example.
Oh, shots fired. Good thing we got about another 45 minutes to go there. Clap.
That's right, we do. Okay.
All right. Are we at number
Sorry,
8 now?
I started singing the Bad Street song in my head.
Let's
kinda
go
hard
to again, people, if you don't like these picks, they're your votes. Number 8.
Blame yourself if you don't like them.
Yeah, seriously, you can't put the heat on us this week. You do it every other 170 sometimes. But Steve Kern and Stan Lane. Steve, we had on a previous podcast, of course, and I think you heard Steve Kern's life story in various incarnations 6 or 7 times during that hour and a half.
I love it. I mean, yeah, Steve Kern had stories for days, but I loved it though.
Stan Lane, the wannabe disc jockey Stan Lane, sweet Stan. I did some announcing with him one time, had the opportunity to do a taping with him. Great guy. They had their run in the AWA. They certainly belong on this list, and it's interesting. They were very popular, but all of a sudden they ran into a roadblock in terms of a tag team called the Road Warriors, and suddenly their popularity, the good guy babyface popularity, took a hit when the Road Warriors revolutionized tag team wrestling.
Yeah, the Road Warriors definitely stunted the Fabulous Ones' run in the AWA.
And remember, Joe, they came back as subtle heels.
Yeah,
for Wrestle Rock.
Yep, against Wyndham and Rotunda.
Yeah,
it was very strange. I mean, it was a huge pop when they got here because they were the first ones to come in under the guise of music videos.
Yes.
Sharp Dressed Man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You know, something that the AWA hadn't shown before. But like you said, when you got Animal and Hawk coming on your heels, you don't really. What are you going to do? You can't put the Fabulous Ones over the Road Warriors. You just can't.
They stepped on a landmine when the Road Warriors came into the AWA.
Was it just bad timing on their part? Like they were primed for a run, and then the Road Warriors showed up, and you're like, well, this is our plan now.
You know, they had a little bit of a run prior to the Road Warriors getting here, which was
but I mean, once the Road Warriors showed up, it's just like it's Animal and Hawk, and everybody else is just going to be fed to them.
Yeah, and the promoters listened. You know, I think nobody expected the Roadies to go over as the massive babyface tag team that they did, but yeah, I mean, this was sudden. This was a door slamming in the face of the Fabs when the Road Warriors came to the AWA.
Yeah, they had a couple of matches against each other, but it just didn't last too long.
And you know what? And they didn't click for some reason, Joe. I just was not. You couldn't get into the matches, and I don't know why that was. Lack of believability? I don't know.
But the Fabs and the Road Warriors?
Yeah. I think you're right. It was the lack of believability. You've got two monsters going against two smaller guys. The smaller guys are the baby faces. The bigger guys are the heels, or at least that's what it was supposed to be. And then when you've got the fans cheering on the Road Warriors against your babyface tag team, I mean, it just didn't work.
Right.
Yeah. So, I know that, Steve Kern went on for, Skinner and did some Doink and did some other things. Was Stan Lane better as a member of the Fabs or a member of the Midnight Express with Bobby Eaton?
Oh boy. Personally, I like Stan better as a member of the Midnight Express. I was a huge Bobby Eaton fan. I think Bobby Eaton was one of the greatest wrestlers that ever lived. Very, very underrated. Him and Brad Armstrong, guys like that. The Fabs, I think, Joe, tell me if you agree with this. When the Fabs came in, they were unique and they were different. But I don't know that I was all that impressed with their in-ring performance after that initial thrust.
Yeah, the hype was bigger than the delivery. I'm not saying, I mean, they were good. Don't get me wrong. It's not that they were a bad tag team or bad workers.
But they disappointed in your mind?
I don't even know if it's fair to say disappointed. It just, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't that there was enough time to get them built up before the Road Warriors came in and literally smashed them.
How long after they debuted? How long before the Road Warriors came in and just kind of started running roughshod over everybody?
I want to say it was like maybe 6 months, because it would have been late.
God, that's a short run.
Late 83, early 84 when the Fabs came in.
Yeah, and the Fabs had feuded with Nick and Saito as well. There was that feud. Yeah, it was a relatively short run, Chris. It was kind of like, boy, this is new and different. And like Joe said, the first music video, but then all of a sudden it flatlined. And you can point to one entity, the Road Warriors, and that made the difference.
Yeah, and by the way, if you go back and take a look at that music video, Sharp Dressed Man, all I'll say is, wow, video production has come a long way.
No shit, Sherlock. All right. What do we got up next, Chris? Is this Lucky 7?
Yes, it is.
All right. Let's take a peek. There we go. Larry Hennig, who was, I don't think he was still Pretty Boy. He was Larry Hennig at that time. And then there's that guy that we showed early on, the very first picture we put up. That's Larry Hynemi, a.k.a. Luscious Lars Anderson. When he was teaming with Buddy Wolf, he was he was Larry Hynemi. Here he is with Larry Hennig, and he is Lars Anderson. And this is a tag team, tremendous heat, again, both from the state of Minnesota, but they had a secret. This was their angle. They would come out, they would do promos, and they would say, we have the secret. Nobody knows what this is that is going to make us the World Tag Team Champions. The secret was never revealed, nor were they ever awarded the World Tag Team Championship. So it's quite possible. Well, God love Larry, he's not with us anymore, but we will never know the secret. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, and they were a tag team. Well, when did they tag? Was that late 60s, early 70s?
No, this would have been like 73, 74, kind of in that area.
Okay.
But a great tag team, and again, they're from Minnesota, but they certainly did not get a babyface response here back in the old wrestling days. All right.
Moving on to number 6. I think this is holds a special place in Chris's heart.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take a look at number
here.
6.
There we go.
Chris is doing a little magic here.
Don't get scared, Chris. Don't get scared.
Oh, boy. Look at him. Look at him. There he goes. Come on, you chicken shit. Get back here.
He's going to change his depends.
I'm younger than you are. My incontinence is not your concern. Thank you.
They were the bright, shining light that I was talking about at the end run of the AWA. The Texas Hangmen, they really deserved to carry the titles here in the AWA, especially at a time when they really were head and shoulders above whatever else was going on. Killer and Psycho, the Texas Hangmen, I thought they would get more votes than they did, but it's still a solid. And as Joe alluded to, Chris was terrified. Chris was traumatized. PTSD.
Yes, absolutely. And I know, buddy Mike Moran, he likes to hold that over my head, but that's I didn't scream. I didn't scream when I put the picture up, so I feel like I'm kind of maturing a little bit. As I get into no, I'm not maturing.
No, you got to get a different word, maybe a little bit more brave, but mature. There is no maturity on this podcast.
That's true. Absolutely no maturity. But no, I really thought that, again, the Hangmen were one of the main tag teams when I was watching the AWA. And the story is the very first AWA show that I saw, the Hangmen were going to the ring, and I was, wanted to go over and get close, like kids do. And Mike Moran, who it's killer. He turned around and he just kind of like did the little, jump at me, scared me. And I went back running over to my family. And I sat there and I was just a little scared little puppy dog with my tail between my legs, thanks to Mike Moran. But now you find out he's just like the nicest, chillest dude in the world. So
it's interesting that you say that. I had the same experience, seriously, with Mad Dog Vachon when I was a teenager. Mad Dog comes charging down the aisle, and I got in his way. And this was when he was at the top of his heel stage, and I was shitting a brick. My question for you, Chris, is that when you went through all this therapy,
yes,
about the Texas Hangman, what do you say to the therapist? This guy in a mask scared me, and then went into a ring with ropes and started beating some other guy up. I mean, did the therapist at that point jump off a bridge himself or herself? What happened there?
No. Well, I went in and I'm like, you know what? I got some mental problems. And they're like, yeah, we know. And I'm like, well, but these are wrestling related. And they're like, you got no chance in life. But I'm like, well, just hear me out. So I told them about, this horrific incident. And they're like, well, you kind of had it coming. And I was like, oh, but they're like, eventually befriend this individual and just be careful you don't reap what you sow. So I've been, it wasn't really the best advice, but they're like, you're just a pussy little chicken shit and you're just going to have to deal with it because eventually you're going to grow up to have a podcast and you're going to talk about it and it's still not going to be therapeutic for you. So you're basically screwed. I mean, that was my message as a kid.
Boy, what a great therapy session. How uplifting was that?
I mean, I felt like it was
telling you your life is over. I mean, it's. Wow.
I'd rather have them shoot straight with me than tell me that, my life is going to end up great and I'm going to be successful and all of this. I'd rather have them just be honest with me. Okay? Yeah. Don't tell me I'm going to amount to anything. Just tell me I'm going to end up doing a podcast and talking about my trauma.
Let's get you off the couch now and go to the next one. Is this number 5?
I don't know. I just kind of hey, but give me credit. I didn't scream like a little girl when the Hangman came. So I feel like I'm making progress. I ran, but I didn't scream.
That's really that. You know what? That is progress. And for that, absolutely.
Thank you.
I'm still trying to get over the fact that they said, or that you said that you've grown up.
Well, you're growing out.
Physically, I've grown out a little bit. I've kind of developed into my body.
Body by pizza.
That's right. BBP.
Number 5.
Wow.
Number 5. I've kind of got. I would agree with this one. To a great extent. Kurt was certainly nowhere near Mr. Perfect when he was teaming up with his father, Larry the Axe. And it was interesting, too, because this is Joe, tell me if you agree with this. The Road Warrior Spectre was over the Hennings as well, because here you got Larry Hennig, who was a legend wrestler in the state of Minnesota. You got Kurt coming up. People really weren't all that familiar with Kurt. He was just getting his legs underneath him. But they had matches with the Road Warriors too. And even the homegrown Hennings, with a legendary status in Minnesota wrestling, still were second fiddle to that Road Warrior pop.
Well, tough to not play second fiddle to the Road Warriors literally in their prime.
Yeah.
They had just gotten into professional wrestling and made such a huge splash. The interesting thing, based on what you just said, it wasn't long after Larry and Kurt tagged that Kurt and Scott Hall got the tag team championships, but the Road Warriors were not around anymore.
That's a great call, and you're absolutely right. It was probably a year later, maybe year and a half, that Kurt and Scott Hall got together.
Actually, Scott and Kurt got together. They wrestled as a tag team at Wrestle Rock. the Road Warriors wrestled at Wrestle Rock, but that was the last run, the last time that the AWA saw the Legion, or not the Legion of Doom, the Road Warriors. So very interesting how that happened. Would Larry and Kurt have been better tag team champions than Scott and Kurt?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, in theory, I would say yes, but Larry was winding down. Larry did not have a lot of ring time left.
No.
Even that
So it's
picture.
so it was kind of more of a special attraction with Larry and Kurt then?
I don't know if it's a special attraction. It was nostalgia, certainly.
Yeah.
And they were still establishing
Yeah, maybe that's what I meant, just a nostalgia thing.
And they were establishing the Hennig relationship, father and son, which of course evolved into the feud with the Gagnes, down the road about a year. But interesting, Joe, I think Scott Hall was relatively new to the business.
Oh,
when
yeah.
he was teaming up with Kurt. I mean, he was green as grass.
Yep.
As far as credibility is concerned, maybe I would go with the Hennigs, at that point, maybe for a short term, because again, Larry was winding down.
Yeah, but the bottom line is they weren't going to get past the Road Warriors.
Right.
And wasn't one of the reasons why Scott Hall was pushed to where he was at so quick is because Vern was looking for his next big, physical, strong, good-looking baby face and thought that Scott Hall could be that guy?
Exactly. Right on the money. They had lost Hogan. They were looking for another big, like you say, good-looking Hollywood type with muscles that could get the fans popped, and Scott Hall was going to be their guy.
Yep.
And,
You notice something about guys in that range? I think of like the Magnum TAs, the mustache with the curly hair, kind of like the knockoff of Tom Selleck. I feel like that was kind of the look at the time.
Absolutely. 100% it was a knockoff on Tom Selleck.
And if you watch any matches from that time, Vern would hop in and do commentary. Greg would as well. And they would always use the Tom Selleck reference. And then they would always say that he was bigger than Hulk Hogan. An intentional, hey, by the way, our guy's better. No, our guy's better type of approach, sticking it in there.
And nobody was buying it either.
No. Well, like you said, Scott was so green. I mean, if he was Razor Ramon before he was Scott Hall, maybe. But even then,
well, he wasn't ready to be Razor Ramon at that
No. In fact, just a side note, I remember seeing him as Razor Ramon for the first time, and I sort of chuckled to myself at first, but then watched his promo, watched his match, and I'm like, okay, Scott has hit his stride.
Yeah,
but need to be the bad guy.
Before he was Razor, though, I feel like he didn't go from Scott Hall to Razor. I mean, he did have that little run in WCW as the Diamond Stud. I feel like the Diamond Stud was maybe just getting into that, and then they took Razor, and Razor's where, Scott just
very similar to Kurt Hennig. I mean, Kurt started to turn heel here, or he turned heel, but he hadn't gotten his wings under him. But WWF took him and made a megastar out of him, just like they did with Scott Hall. So kudos to WWF. Vince and company knew what they were doing.
Yep.
All right. Are we at 4?
We're at number 4. We got a couple of redheads here, although tough to see in a black and white photo, but
just imagine.
Just imagine. Yeah. If you were a fan back in the 1960s, the late 1960s, Billy Red Lions and Red Bastine were in the AWA, and they were over. They were massively over as a babyface tag team. They had feuds with all the heels of the day, including the Vachon brothers and that type, Dr. X. And I mentioned before that Billy Red Lions on your left was the real life brother-in-law of Dick Beyer, Dr. X, the Destroyer. But of course, back in the kayfabe era, nobody knew that. And these guys were feuding all over the Horn, the brothers-in-law. Bastine and Lions, tremendously popular. And again, I would say for a tag team feud, their feud with the Vachons was one of the stellar tag team feuds in the AWA in the 1970s. Great tag team.
Yeah, it's tough for me to see Red Bastine and not think of Hercules Cortez.
Yeah,
as a tag team partner. They were my favorites at the time when they had that accident. But these two, yeah, that would have been a fun tag team championship team.
Red Bastine from Minneapolis. I believe he went to Roosevelt High School. Roland Bastine, and one of the nicest guys you would ever want to meet. That's why the Cauliflower Alley Club has the Red Bastine Friendship Award, because this guy was a friend to everybody. Class act.
And Red was one that always came in for the Kenny J fundraiser for
Always.
his grandson for histiocytosis. Red was there every year that I went.
Yep, great guy. And Billy Red Lions, he was a major star in his own right. I believe Billy was from Canada. I believe he was from Toronto. I'm not sure. Wound up being a commentator up in the Canadian area, but tremendous tag team. And got a lot of votes. Very surprising.
Yeah. Number 4 tag team, on to number 3. Big Bad Bobby Duncombe and Ken Patera.
This is a tag team that got a lot of votes, as you can see by the fact that they are number 3. They cracked the top trifecta. One hell of a tag team, the Black and Blue Express. And there was nothing fancy about Bobby Duncombe or Ken Patera. They were no-nonsense brawlers in the ring, managed, of course, by Bobby Heenan at one point. And this is a team, I think, for the time, Joe, it would have been an excellent choice to carry the AWA Tag Team titles, at least for a while. They had all the momentum in the world. They were red-hot heels, but it never happened.
Yeah, interesting why that did not happen. I mean, Ken later became tag team champion with Brad Ringens as the Olympians, but that was the only time that the strap was put on Ken. Could there have been a personality conflict there, Mick?
Well,
you and I both know the answer. That's why I said it.
let me be gentle here.
You're going to get Mick in trouble.
If you're going to pull a
That's
Barry
what he's looking
Barstow
for.
on me.
That's what he's looking for.
Yep, sure it is. I would say that if you look in the dictionary under personality conflict, they got Ken's picture. That Ken was a natural born heel, but God damn it, he was good. And Bobby Duncombe, so understated and so underrated for a 300-pound big man. He sold for everybody. The Black and Blue Express, in my opinion, yeah, they're number 3, certainly one of the greatest AWA tag teams of all time. No doubt about it.
And Big Bad Bobby Duncombe's gimmick as a redneck cowboy from Texas, that's who he is. And he's still with us today. He's still with us, still loves having his Copenhagen in his mouth, and has a little farm down in Texas. There was no gimmick there. That was him.
That absolutely, that was him. And Bobby's one of those guys that kind of stepped away from the business. He doesn't do the fan conventions, the reunions, or anything else. I would guess that Bobby is probably 80-ish. Not positive. I certainly misfired on some Jake Milliman's age, last time out. But tremendous tag team, and Ken Patera. It's always in my mind, do we get Ken on the podcast or not? We made it through Marty Jannetty. I would love to get Ken on the show, because I guarantee you it would be entertaining, to say the least.
I agree with you, except for one thing. You have to do entertaining. And it would be entertaining
Well, a train wreck, I guess, depending on your mindset, could be entertaining.
Well, true. Gawker, slow down.
Why are we doing this?
It would be.
I don't want this. I want.
Yeah.
This.
I would love to have Ken on the show. I mean, if we've had Janetti, it can't be any more controversial. And again, here's Ken Patera. Hold my beer.
Absolutely. And just before we go to number 2, I remember
we got
Ken
episode 200 coming up. We did 100 with Janetti.
Oh boy. Hey. Okay. All right. Well.
So in 22 weeks.
There you go, Kingfish.
Somehow I think we're going to make it to 21, and then I'll be damned. We'll just be like, we can't hit 200.
I remember when Ken always used to do these feats of strength, and he did it down in the NWA area too, in Georgia Championship Wrestling. And I remember one of the feats of strength was he would blow up a hot water bottle to the point where it would explode. And you can only imagine how the lung power you had to have to blow up a hot water bottle. Well, Ken is, oh God. Ken is blowing up this hot water bottle, and then Gordon Soley is, of course, having a conniption because he's never seen anything like this. And as the water bottle is expanding, it's like Ken has reached his peak, blowing up this, and suddenly you see Ken's hand do one of these from the underside of the hot water bottle. I'm guessing straight pin, safety pin. He tagged out, did Ken Patera, to the hot water bottle, who eventually did the job and exploded on set.
Hold on. You're telling me that it was a gimmick?
Huh? Never heard the word before. Never heard the word before.
Hey, you guys can say something with Ken Patera was gimmicked. I'm not going there. Anyway.
Hey, Ken might give another speech like he did at Cauliflower Alley Club, and that would, bring the house down too. But all right. Number 2.
Well, this is going to be a really nice transition because you were talking about good old Texas boys who were who they were.
Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch. I don't know why they didn't have a run with the AWA Tag Team Championship outside of the fact, I guess, that Nick Bockwinkel and Ray Stevens, another heel tag team, were champions at the time. When Rhodes and Murdoch came into the AWA, there was so much talent. This is like 1972, 1973-ish. And it was just loaded. Tag teams and singles wrestlers, some of the best rostered guys the AWA ever had. And I've mentioned that Rhodes and Murdoch, heels though they were from Texas, as they were, had a feud with Bockwinkel and Stevens, and Dusty and Dick were the crowd favorites. That kind of tells you how hated Bockwinkel and Stevens were. But Dusty Rhodes and Dick Murdoch, everything you have heard about them is accurate. And maybe even understated. Dick Murdoch had his world view. There's no question about it. It's documented. Agree with it or disagree with it. He told you what he thought. Dusty Rhodes, certainly a character among characters. And the Flame Cafe in downtown Minneapolis was actually brought down in shambles after a Rhodes and Murdoch after party at the from a match at the Minneapolis Auditorium. The real deal, the Texas Outlaws, Rhodes and Murdoch.
They deserve to be number 2. Case could be made, I think, for possibly being number 1, but this is the fan vote. And I say that because I got to just let the cat out of the bag. I had them as one of my 5.
Oh, they were. How can you not?
Yeah.
And their tenure in the AWA as a tag team was not all that long. Murdoch had left, actually. And Dusty was here for a while, and then they turned Dusty babyface in the AWA. So the Outlaws' actual tenure was not lengthy, but God damn it, did they get heat. And, I was there that night. They wrestled Bockwinkel and Stevens, full-scale riot, fans entering the ring. An off-duty police officer was stabbed. I mean, this is genuine heat back in the day. Real serious heat. All right.
When wrestling was wrestling.
When wrestling, you bet. You got it.
All right.
All
let's
right
move
then.
on to
And I
our
know,
number one.
here we go. Boom. And I know we all agree that this, if not number one tag team, certainly, and Joe, you've mentioned this, they had the credibility, they had the look to match up against the Road Warriors. And that is Wild Bill Irwin on your left and the late Scott Hogg Irwin on the right, the Long Riders.
They were the only tag team at the time in the AWA that you could put into the ring against Animal and Hawk and believe that it was legit. I mean, they went toe to toe with Animal and Hawk, punch for punch, you name it. And what was interesting there is the Road Warriors had already, well, not fully, but we had talked earlier about the Road Warriors going against the Fabulous Ones. Mm-hmm. Excuse me, the fans had started to make the Road Warriors baby faces. They went full baby face when they went in against the Long Riders. So not only did you have the full-blown baby face versus heel, but you had two guys who maybe not in muscle structure, shall we say, had the same look as Animal and Hawk, but they had the size. They had the whole biker gimmick, the whole biker mentality.
The toughness, the fighter. You believe that they can hold their own.
Exactly, and they did, and they did in many of the matches. It was okay. Who is going to win this one? Where against the Fabulous Ones, the question was not who is going to win, but how and in how short of a time.
Yeah, and the Long Rider, I love they used that old loaded boot gimmick.
Oh yeah,
which is tried and true in wrestling. The easiest heat to get. Just load that boot. It's amazing. You just put the Iron Sheik. You kind of kick the boot a little bit and whatever that metal object is. And it's interesting that none of these guys ever broke toes by kicking a guy in the head while they had a metal object sitting on top of their toe. You would think something would happen. But the Long Riders, and we lost Scott Irwin way too early. Yeah. I believe it was a brain tumor, tremendous talent. And of course, in the world-class area, they were the Super Destroyers, managed by Skandor Akbar. So that's not too bad either. But I don't know why they were not given a run here with the tag team titles, outside of the fact, again, you had the Road Warriors. But it's interesting. The Road Warriors lose the titles to Jimmy Garvin and Steve Regal, of course, right before they left the area. How the hell did that happen? But they did not lose the titles to a team with real size and credibility like the Long Riders.
Interesting booking decision. Had an idea for a future podcast, Mick. The wrestlers with the most different gimmicks in their career. Because like Bill Irwin, you talked about the Super Destroyer. He was the Goon. He was Wild Bill Irwin. I'm probably missing one or two, but a lot of these guys. Well, Larry Heinini was another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Young, luscious Lars Anderson. Then you have the Larry Hennings of the world. He was just Larry Henning, the X, throughout his entire career.
And Pretty Boy Larry Henning.
Well, and Pretty Boy, but it still had Larry Henning in it. So I don't consider that a gimmick change. It's just, but that would be an interesting show to put that together. Take a little work on your part, but I like that idea.
Good. Sounds good.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get into to R5. I had the Fabs. I had the Long Riders. A couple of them that I had that we did not get to, and admittedly, I didn't see one of these teams, but I could only imagine what their promos would be, and that's Crusher and Mad Dog. Oh. This is before my time, but I'm thinking about the entertainment value with the off-the-cuff interviews. And part of this goes into the last watch-along that we just had, you guys, where for the Pinfall members, it was about interviews. And two of the best, I still stand by the Mad Dog Pine Box interview is my favorite of all time. But Crusher had one where he was being interviewed by Roger Kent, and it was hilarious. And you guys, $4.99 a month, you'll love it. I guarantee you will love it. I would have thought the promos would have been just, and they're tough. Like the legitimate toughness, the believability those guys had it.
Chris Crusher was not clowning around when he did promos with Mad Dog. It was the old Crusher went looking for a tag team partner, even though they hated each other, and it was the old, we'll team up one time and then we're going to go our separate ways. You owe me, that kind of thing.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
There you go. And Crusher and the Dog had one of the greatest feuds of the 1960s into the early 1970s.
Yeah.
Of course, Crusher's looking for a tag team partner, and he didn't go to Algeria. This was interesting. Crusher did not go to Algeria without any explanation. Crusher admitted he went to Canada. He went to Montreal. He went to the saloons. He went to the alleys, the sewers in Montreal, and dug up Mad Dog Vachon. I believe the dog was waiting with a beer bottle to hit Crusher over the head. He heard Crusher was coming to Canada. And these two, they would do the old pound each other at the end of an interview, chop each other back and forth, forearm shots. You can only imagine the Dog and the Crusher interviews. And yeah, that would have been a tag team for the ages.
Yeah, I didn't have them in my 5, but yeah, I like that. That would have been a fun tag team.
Yeah, Chris, I think you had somebody else too that.
Yeah, I did. I had another one that I thought was pretty badass. You talk about a couple of guys that are big, bad believability. Brody and John Nord. I mean, managed by the Sheik. I just have a feeling you give these guys the tag titles. It's like, who's going to take them away? Who's going to be the team to dethrone John Nord and Bruiser Brody?
I would have to think that the reason they didn't give these two the tag team titles was Brody. The unpredictability of Brody, and yet, look what happened with Stan Hansen down the road. John Nord, of course, was a lifelong Bruiser Brody fan, idolized him. And Brody took him under a wing and basically gave him carte blanche to do the bark and the furry boots and everything else. They actually feuded with each other down in the world-class championship wrestling area. But yeah, can you imagine those? And again, you talk about teams, who's going to beat these guys? You talk about a Road Warrior magic.
If you didn't have the Road Warriors, who's going to beat them?
Nobody. Nobody's going to beat them. Again, very short-lived. It's a shame, but I think that Brody was probably the reason why this wasn't going to happen.
Without a doubt. I mean, there's a reason Brody didn't win many championships.
Right.
In whatever territory he was in. It just, Brody was similar to sort of Andre, where he was an attraction that came in.
And he didn't need any titles?
Well, no, he would come in and just beat the shit out of people and then move on. And he was very, very, very protective of his gimmick. Like to a point where he's not going to get pinned. So how do you put a championship, at least a world championship, on somebody that you don't know if you're going to be able to get it back? Now, if he was tagged, maybe Brody or Nord would have taken the fall, but then Brody would be sitting there going, "Oh, no.
Yep.
I work for the Sheik."
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
A great choice, Chris. I mean, Brody and Nord, no question about it. And John did a hell of a job, actually.
Wow.
With the character, the Barbarian character. Yes, I did not like the Berserker character for whatever reason. I think they kind of clowned him up a little bit. But great choice. Joe, I think you're up, buddy.
Well, just
Well,
one
My
quick.
You got more yet?
one.
Okay.
You're gonna leave me. You just
Sorry
gonna leave
there,
me hanging?
pal.
Let me
Hey, it's
just
a credibility issue. Go ahead.
one quick note on the Berserker thing, just as long as
Yep.
we're on it. Let's face it, during that time of the Berserker, during that era of the WWE, everything was a bad gimmick.
Yeah.
It was all a cartoon. I mean, the Red
true.
Rooster, the Berserker, the Beverly Brothers. It just,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, you're right. Well, you just left me hanging with number one, so we're just gonna.
No. No, you signed the check. You go
No,
ahead.
I did. My it's the Hangman, just because they left an imprint on me, and they will. The Hangmen are always going to they're always going to have a special place in my heart. So we will move on from there.
Okay,
Joe?
my 5, and I didn't put mine in any order, but I'm going to start with the one tag team on the list that falls under the sort of the same category as the Hangmen for you, Chris. They did not deserve the titles. Nope, that wasn't them. But I'll go ahead and go back to Putski and Crusher. As long as we revealed that. The reason that I have Putski and Crusher, I mean, it's pretty obvious. The whole Polish connection.
What a
and by the way, I love that photo, Mick. I don't know where you pulled that one out.
Isn't that a beauty?
That is great. But Crusher and Putski together as tag teams, as a tag team champions, as a 7, 8, 9-year-old young Polish lad that I would have been, boom. I would have been done, sold, T-shirts, whatever. Bring it to me. Shot glasses, you name it. But the tag team that I'm referring to, Chris, is actually the last one on my list. And that'll give you a little time to set it up. I'm talking about the Nasty Boys. Now, Brian and Jerry, they broke into the AWA the same time that I did, just a little bit after. And so we just have, I don't know, this connection over the years. I've been able to see them since then, and it's like we never stopped seeing each other. But yeah, they were too green to get the straps in the AWA without a doubt. But like I had mentioned earlier about the list, I wanted to add somebody onto the list that Chris didn't have, and quite frankly, that I don't think anybody else would have. And so I sort of threw in the Nasty Boys for that reason. Next tag team, and I'll go in the order that I have them listed now, Chris. The Blackjacks, Lanza and Mulligan. I always thought that they were just a good gimmick. You know, they were believable as you know, the Blackjacks. I thought they worked well together. Of course, part of the Bobby Heenan stable. So I threw them into the mix. Let's see. And then my other 2 tag teams, we've already discussed them. They were number 2 and number 1 on the list. Rhodes and Murdoch and the Long Riders. And that completes my top 5.
Joe, to your point about the Blackjacks, I agree with you, and certainly one of the greatest tag teams in all wrestling. But they were so much primarily WWA talent at the time. I mean, that's where they really made their heyday. It's interesting that Vern did not capitalize in the AWA specific on the talents of the Blackjacks. And that may have been a Blackjack Mulligan thing. I don't know. Maybe he didn't want to spend all his time up in the northern tier. I don't know, but certainly a great tag team.
Yeah, but to clarify, they did wrestle as the Blackjacks
Yes.
in the AWA, just didn't get the push.
Exactly. All right. So for my unimportant choices, I went with Heinemi and Wolf, and of course Hennig and Anderson in my top teams, as other people did. There are some other people Other tag teams, and Chris, if we could put those pictures up, that's a tag team that I thought would have been, at the time, tremendous heel tag teams. And that was Ivan Koloff and Superstar Billy Graham. Again, you're in the early 1970s. The AWA is absolutely flourishing with talent. And Koloff and Superstar teamed up regularly around the horn. Each of them in their own right had incredible heat. Ivan didn't do a lot of talking back then in promos. Superstar would have carried the team as far as on camera is concerned, but two big, tough, strong, believable heels. I think they would have made great AWA tag team champions, at least in the short term. And let's take a look at another tag team that I would have added on the list, maybe even for a short run as AWA tag team champions. This team right here. And it's interesting because look what happened when they went somewhere else in the wrestling world. Tito Santana and Rick Martel did not have a long run here as a team in the AWA, but they were stellar. They teamed up around the horn, not as Strike Force, but as Tito Santana and Rick Martel. They wrestled the High Flyers in the Twin Cities in one of the greatest tag team matches I've ever seen. And that's really saying something because both teams were babyface tag teams. I really think that even a short run for Martel and Santana would have been okay.
And the fact that they were given a name, Strike Force, I think that's what put them over the top with the fans.
Yeah.
When in the AWA, they were just two baby faces that were sort of put together. There wasn't any cohesion from a fan's perspective. From a tag team perspective, you're right, and especially about that match against the High Flyers. I mean, absolutely incredible tag team match. But God, just think of it. Those four guys in the ring working. God, I'd love to be able to see that again today.
And you're right about the Strike Force thing, because I don't remember like the Santana and Martel team in the AWA. But when you say Strike Force, I think of Rick Martel and Tito Santana more so than I do Rick Martel and Tom Zenk as the Can-Am connection.
Oh, absolutely.
I think definitely Rick Martel. The Strike Force thing, Joe, I think you're right, because they both were just kind of, there wasn't like a big character about either one, but you put them together and the team has an identity. I think that's kind of what I'm saying. If they've got an identity, it's easier for the fans to get behind.
And WWF, WWE gave everybody a nickname. No matter who they were, they wound up with some kind of a nickname. Martel and Santana outside the ring, my God, you couldn't find two nicer guys, legitimately. So I had them on there, and I believe that I have one other tag team.
Yes.
Chris? Okay.
I think we got two more coming.
Two more? Okay. This team, I don't understand why they didn't get a run as tag team champions. They were over so huge as heels. The goose-stepping German tag team of Horst Hoffman and Baron von Raschke. Early mid-1970s, tremendous heat. Baron was in his heyday as a heel, and Horst Hoffman kind of understated as a heel. Didn't have a lot of great promo skills, Horst Hoffman, which may have been the reason that they did not get put over as the tag team champions. But again, I look at that 1970s AWA roster, especially with tag teams, phenomenal, off the charts.
So Hoffman's doing the claw thing. Did he use the claw?
Baron taught him the claw.
Okay.
Yeah. Horst, it didn't, I don't think it really had the impact that it did when the Baron would put a claw on somebody. As a matter of fact, I think Horst would hold up his hand like he was going to put the claw on it, and the fans, you could have snooze fest. They didn't give a shit. But yeah, Baron taught Horst Hoffman the deadly claw, even how to hold his hand on the opponent's head to make sure that it didn't slip off, or it was the opponent that grabbed the hand to make sure it didn't slip off his own head, as I recall.
What I remember about that tag team combination, now I was 7, 8 years old. So you've got 2 Germans, 2 Nazis, and I'm Polish. So exactly. The extra hate was there.
Yeah.
Little side note, trivia, whatever the hell you want to call it. Hoffman and Baron von Raschke were the first tag team that I made signs to hold up against. Of course, they never saw it because we were, in the nosebleeds at the old auditorium or Civic Center. Actually, it would have been the auditorium. Civic Center wasn't even built yet when they were a tag team.
Great tag team.
Oh, phenomenal. And they did their job well because I hated those Nazis.
So there you have
think
it.
about what you just think about what you just uttered. It's just if you hate Nazis, that's good. If you like Nazis, that's bad.
Yeah. And Mick, was there one more that I think on the list?
I think that was it.
I think that's it.
Did we do Henning and Anderson?
Yeah, I mentioned them.
Okay.
Because other people had mentioned them. Interesting side note, you're talking about holding up a sign at the matches. Back then, if you got the sign in somebody's way, the usher would come and tear it down. Nowadays, if you don't have a sign, you're an outsider.
They give
They're
you
handing
one.
you a sign to hold, to hold up when you walk in. How the business has changed.
Well, I will say my sign was like on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So I'm like 7 years old,
I can't believe they didn't see it.
Not only did they
the Baron's not going to see it. He couldn't see it if it was right in front of him.
No. Not only did the talent not see my sign, but I don't think the person in the row ahead of me could see the sign. But I knew what it said. And that's all that mattered to me.
That's right. That's right.
Thanks to everybody who participated, and what a great look back at some of the great tag teams in the AWA. And Chris, honestly, I don't know if medication, if continued therapy is eventually going to get you over the hump and around the corner with the Texas Hangmen. I don't know. I feel for you. You're a friend of mine. Honest to God, I wish there was something I could do, but.
It's a part of my identity now. I can't. I just have to learn to deal with the trauma.
I get it. Yeah.
I believe thoughts and prayers would be nice.
So how about our shout out?
Yeah, let's give some shout outs. Yes.
Shout out.
We want thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers with my my heart hurting about the Hangman. All right, let's get some shout outs.
You think Mike Moran ever figured he would be in thoughts and prayers in any way, shape, or form? All right. My shout out.
I love you, Mike.
Goes to one of the greatest guys, Chris and Joe, you know him, Tom Burke. Tom Burke, the premier wrestling historian. Tom was in Waterloo. Nobody knows more about wrestling. Nobody. I'm saying nobody knows more about wrestling than Tom Burke. And, Tom accuses me of walking the halls in Waterloo or Las Vegas at 3 a.m, chanting AWA, AWA. I don't remember doing that. I've got no reason to doubt Tom Burke. May have been at a weak moment. But, Tom, you're a legend. We love you. Hats off to you.
My shout out, my semi-blind dart throw of the week goes to Billy Hollingsworth. He had messaged me on Facebook Messenger. I just saw it today. I mean, it's Labor Day weekend. I try to avoid social media as much as I possibly can. But he messaged me, and Billy, I will respond to you in kind.
So did he message you asking to be your blind dart throw of the week, or was it about something else?
I think it was volunteering to be the dartboard.
Oh, being the dart boy?
Board.
Oh,
bored, sort of like I have been for the last hour and 10 minutes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought I heard you say Dart Boy, and I'm like, is that a new gimmick or something?
Dart Boy.
It's pretty sharp there.
I'm going to get into the ring, and he's going to be Dart Boy.
Dart Boy.
He's going to walk around and just throw darts and hit wrestlers in the ass.
That's great. I love it. I love it. Sepsis, here we come. My blind dart throw is not a blind dart throw. Bill Klein, who when he's always chiming in and giving us feedback and kind of adding to like comments on YouTube and everything, and it's great because it's like he's got the memory of a steel trap. I mean, if we talk about something, like he'll give like his own thoughts, and it's just kind of cool for me to see like kind of how people remember things chronologically and in detail. So Bill, thank you. And thank you for being a Pinfall member. And if you guys want to be Pinfall members, if you want to see our watch alongs, super, super easy, you guys. We've got Back to Ringside. All it is $4.99 a month for the Pinfall members. You get our exclusive interviews, watch alongs. You get this a day early. It's best value in wrestling podcasting, bar none, for anybody. Best Patreon, anybody. And you get a welcome letter from me and some pictures from Mick.
And as we're wrapping up here, to allude to what Joe was saying earlier on about, various gimmicks over the years, how wrestlers change gimmicks. And did you know that Billy Hollingsworth, your semi-blind dartboard, once wrestled as Gene Kiniski? Did you know that, Joe?
As Big Thunder?
That's correct. He didn't really, but I figured this is wrestling and we can get by with, just about anything, That's... Well, Chris, take care of yourself, buddy.
What wasn't Chris Gorgeous George?
Yes, the Gorgeous George in WCW. Randy Savage.
Ooh.
Wow.
By the way, shall I say a little bit of it? Is that your WCW Gorgeous George imitation?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Show me those nipples.
Don't encourage him.
Yay!